let's just get started because I'm on chapter, let's see, chapter 20 something, 25. And there's like 39 chapters. So, and we are off school again tomorrow, so I'm filming this on Tuesday. We were supposed to go back yesterday, but tomorrow is like a virtual school day, so I'll have an assignment from every one of my classes, but I have 4 classes, so it's really gonna be hard. Alright. I might make this a longer video because whatever. Let me switch hands. So basically, so far, they've left the island and Robert, our little crush, has gone to Mexico, but not a lot of stuff has happened. Besides that, like literally, she's just like avoiding her responsibilities. So, basically, okay, I was just like recording the whole part, but it didn't record. Basically, she just like abandoned her life, and it's just, but she has a new like romantic lover. His name's like Alcee. It's Alcee, but the first E has like a little dot like over it. I don't know. Reuben wrote Edna an elaborate note of apology, palpitant with sincerity, and embarrassed her, for in a cooler, quieter moment it appeared to her absurd that she should have taken his action so seriously. He kissed her hand so dramatically. She felt sure that the significance of the whole occurrence had lain in her own self-consciousness. If she ignored his note, it would give undue importance to a trivial affair. If she replied to it in a serious spirit, it would still leave in his mind the impression that she had, in a susceptible moment, yielded to his influence. After all, it was no great matter to have one's hand kissed. She was provoked at his having written the apology. She answered in as light and bantering a spirit as she fancied it deserved, and said she would be glad to have him look in upon her at work whenever he felt the inclination and his business gave him the opportunity. He responded at once by presenting himself at her home with all his disarming naivety, and then there was scarcely a day which followed that she did not see him or was not reminded of him. He was prolific in pretext. His attitude became one of good-humored subservience and tacit adoration. He was ready at all times to submit to her moods, which were often kind as they were cold. She grew accustomed to him. They became intimate and friendly by imperceptible degrees, and then by leaps. He sometimes talked in a way that astonished her at first, and brought the crimson into her face in a way that pleased her. At last, appealing to the animalism that stirred impatiently within her. Is she horny? Like, she's horny. What the what? There was nothing which so quieted the turmoil of Edna's senses as a visit to Mademoiselle Ride's. So, she plays the piano. Basically, that's all, like, we know about her. It was then, in the presence of that personality which was so offensive to her, that the woman, by her divine art, seemed to reach Edna's spirit and set it free. It was misty, with a heavy lowering atmosphere, one afternoon, when Edna climbed the stairs to the pianist's apartments under the roof. Her clothes were dripping with moisture. She felt chilled and pinched as she entered the room. Mademoiselle was poking at a rusty stove that smoked a little and warmed the room indifferently. She was endeavoring to heat a pot of chocolate on the stove. The room looked cheerless and dingy to Edna as she entered. A bust of Beethoven covered with a hood of dust scowled at her from the mantelpiece. "Ah, here comes the sunlight," she removed her gloves and overshoes. She drank the liquor from the glass as a man would have done. Then, flinging herself onto the uncomfortable sofa, she said, "Mademoiselle, I am going to move away from my house on Esplanade Street." Oh my gosh. Ejaculated the musician, neither surprised nor especially interested. She ejaculated. What does that mean? Nothing ever seemed to astonish her very much. She was endeavoring to adjust the bunch of violets which had become loose from its fastening in her hair. Edna drew her down upon the sofa and, taking a pin from her own hair, secured the shabby artificial flowers in their accustomed place. "Aren't you astonished?" Passively. "Where are you going? To New York? To Iberville? To your father in Mississippi? Where?" "Just 2 steps away," laughed Edna, "in a little 4-room house around the corner. It looks so cozy, so inviting and restful whenever I pass by, and it's for rent. I'm tired looking after that big house." She isn't, but okay. It looks so cozy, so inviting and restful whenever I pass by. Oh wait, no, I'm tired of looking after that big house. It never seemed like mine anyway. Like home. It's too much trouble. I have to keep too many servants. I am tired bothering with them. That is not your true reason, ma belle. There is no use in telling me lies. I don't know your reason, but you have not told me the truth. Edna did not protest or endeavor to justify herself. The house, the money that provides for it, are not mine. Isn't that enough reason? They are your husband's, returned Mademoiselle with a shrug and a malicious elevation of the eyebrows. Oh, I see there is no deceiving you. Then let me tell you, it is a caprice. I have a little money of my own from my mother's estate, which my father sends me by driblets. I won a large sum this winter on the races, and am beginning to sell my sketches. Laidpore is more and more pleased with my work. He says it grows in force and individuality. I cannot judge that of myself, but I feel that I have gained in ease and competence. However, as I've said, I have sold a good many through Laidpore. I can live in this tiny house for little or nothing with 1 servant. Old Celestine, who works occasionally for me, says she will come stay with me and do my work. I know I shall like it, like the feeling of freedom and independence. So she's trying to move out of her own house because she doesn't like her family. What? What is this lady on about? What does your husband say? I have not told him yet. I only thought of it this morning. He will think I am demented, no doubt. Yeah, he already does. Perhaps you think so. Mademoiselle shook her head slowly. Your reason is not yet clear to me, she said. Neither was it quite clear to Edna herself, but it unfolded itself as she sat for a while in silence. Instinct had prompted her to put away her husband's bounty and casting off her allegiance. She did not know how it would be when she returned. There would have to be an understanding, an explanation. Conditions would some way adjust themselves, she felt, but whatever came, she had resolved never again to belong to another than herself. I shall give a grand dinner before I leave the old house, Edna exclaimed. You will have to come to it, mademoiselle. I will give you everything that you like to eat and drink. We shall sing and laugh and be merry for once. And she uttered a sigh that came from the very depths of her being. If mademoiselle happened to have received a letter from Robert during the interval of Edna's visits, she would give her the letter unsolicited, and she would seat herself at the piano and play as her humor prompted her while the young woman read the letter. The little stove was roaring. It was red hot, and the chocolate in the tin sizzled and sputtered. Edna went forward and opened the stove door, and mademoiselle, rising, took a letter from under the bust of Beethoven and handed it to Edna. Another so soon, she exclaimed, her eyes filled with delight. Tell me, mademoiselle, does he know that I see his letters? Never in the world. He would be so angry and would never write to me again if he thought so. Does he write to you? Never a line. Does he send you a message? Never a word. It's because he loved you, poor fool, and is trying to forget you since you are not free to listen to him or to belong to him. Then why do you show me his letters? Haven't you begged for them? joy and exultation. "Oh," she exclaimed, letting the letter fall to the floor. "Why did you not tell me?" She went to grasp Mademoiselle's hands up from the keys. "Oh, unkind, malicious. Why did you not tell me that he was coming back? No great news, ma foi. I wonder he did not come a long time ago." "But when?" cried Edna impatiently. "He does not say when. He says very soon. You know as much about it as I do. It is all in the letter." "But why? Why is he coming? Oh, if I thought," and she snatched the letter from the floor and turned the pages this way and that way, looking for the reason which was left untold. "If I were young and in love with a man," said Mademoiselle, turning on the stool and pressing her wiry hands between her knees as she Edna, who sat on the floor holding her letter. "It seemed to me he would have gone to some great spirit in French. A man with lofty aims and ability to reach them, one who stood high enough to attract the notice of his fellow men. It seems to me, if I were young and in love, I should never deem a man of ordinary caliber worthy of my devotion. Now it is you who are telling lies and seeking to deceive me, mademoiselle, or else you have never been in love and know nothing about it." "Why," went on Edna, clasping her knees and looking up into mademoiselle's twisted face, "do you suppose a woman knows why she loves? Does she select? Does she say to herself, 'Go to, here is a distinguished statesman with presidential possibilities. I shall proceed to fall in love with him, or I shall set my heart upon this musician whose frame is on every tongue, or this financier who controls the world's money markets?' You are purposely misunderstanding me, ma reine, my queen, my love in French. Are you in love with Robert?" "Yes," said Edna. It was the first time she had admitted it, and a glow overspread her face, blocking it with red spots. "Why?" asked her companion. "Why do you love him when you ought not to?" Edna, with a motion or two, dragged herself on her knees before Mademoiselle, who took the glowing face between her two hands. "Why? Because his hair is brown and grows away from his temples, because he opens and shuts his eyes, and his nose is a little out of drawing, because he has two lips and a square chin, and a little finger which he can't straighten from having played baseball too energetically in his youth, because..." Okay, all of these features sound like normal features of a guy. Brown hair, he opens and shuts his eyes. So does everyone. His nose is a little out of drawing. He has two lips. And a square chin. Yeah. Okay. Alright, bro. Sounds like my dad. He blinks. He has two lips. Check. He has a square chin. Check. His nose is a little busted. Check. Okay. "Because you do, in short," laughed Mademoiselle. "What will you do when he comes back?" she asked. "Do nothing except feel glad and happy to be alive." She was already glad and happy to be alive at the mere thought of his return. The murky, lowering sky, which had depressed her a few hours before, seemed bracing and invigorating as she splashed the streets on her way home. She stopped at a confectioner's and ordered a huge box of bonbons for the children in Iberville. She slipped a card in the box, on which she scribbled a tender message and sent an abundance of kisses. Before dinner in the evening, Edna wrote a charming letter to her husband, telling him of her intention to move for a while into the little house around the block, and to give a farewell dinner before leaving. Regretting that he was not there to share it, to help her out with the menu and assist her in entertaining the guests, her letter was brilliant and brimming with cheerfulness. "What is the matter with you?" Oh, this is chapter 27, by the way. "What is the matter with you?" asked Reuben that evening. "I never found you in such a happy mood." Edna was tired by that time and was reclining on the lounge before the fire. "Don't you know that the weather prophet has told us we shall see the sun pretty soon?" "Well, that ought to be reason enough," he acquiesced. "You wouldn't give me another if I sat here all night imploring you." He sat close to her on a low Yeah, that's because nobody wants to admit that they're a horrible person. What? Don't. What's the use? Why should you bother thinking about it when I can tell you what manner of woman you are? His fingers strayed occasionally down to her warm, smooth cheeks and firm chin, which was growing a little full and a double chin. Yeah, she's getting fat. It's okay. She's finding herself. Oh yes, you will tell me that I am adorable. Everything that is captivating. Spare yourself the effort. Bro, she just sounds like a baby. You're just gonna tell me that I'm so small. Like, oh my god. No, I shan't tell you anything of the sort. He's like, what? No. Though I shouldn't be lying if I did. Alright, bro. Do you know Mademoiselle Rides? She asked irrelevantly. The pianist. I know her by sight. I've heard her play. Okay, well that would be knowing her by sound. So she says queer things sometimes in a bantering way that you don't notice at the time and you find yourself thinking about afterward. For instance, when I left her today, she put her arms around me and felt my shoulder blades to see if my wings are strong. She said, the bird that would soar above the level plane of tradition and prejudice must have strong wings. It is a sad spectacle to see the weaklings bruised, exhausted, fluttering back to earth. Whither would you soar? Where? Whither? What the heck? I am not thinking of any extraordinary flights. I only half comprehend her. I've heard she's partially demented, said Arobin. She seems to me wonderfully sane, Edna replied. I'm told she's extremely disagreeable and unpleasant. Why have you introduced her at a moment when I desired to talk of you? Oh, talk of me if you like, cried Edna, clasping her hands beneath her head. But let me think of something else while you do. I'm jealous of your thoughts tonight. They're making you a little kinder than usual. But some way I feel as if they were wondering, as if they were not here with me. She only looked at him and smiled. His eyes were very near. She leaned upon the lounge with an arm extended across her, while the other hand still rested upon her hair. They continued silently to look into each other's eyes. I just looked at the next line. Oh my god. When he leaned forward and kissed her, she clasped his head, holding his lips to hers. No, bro. What? And, you slut. It was the first kiss of her life to which her nature had really responded. It was a flaming torch that kindled desire. Bro, what? So now she has two hus and one main man, but she doesn't like the main man. Oh, okay, this is chapter 28. This girl, so dumb. And I cried a little that night after Arobin left her. It was only one phase of the multitudinous. Why did that take me so long? Emotions which had assailed her. There was the shock of the unexpected and the unaccustomed. There were her husband's reproach looking at her from the external things around her, which he had provided for her external existence. There were Robert's reproach making itself felt by quicker, fiercer, or overpowering love, which had awakened within her toward him. Above all, there was understanding. She felt as if a mist had been lifted from her eyes, enabling her to look upon and comprehend the significance of life that must are made up of beauty and brutality. The awakening. But among the conflicting sensations which assailed her, there were neither shame nor remorse. What? You're telling me there was a dull pang of regret. Is that not remorse? I guess it's not. Because it was not the kiss of love which had inflamed her, because it was not love which had held the cup of life to her lips. Is it lost? Is it lost? Okay. That was chapter 26 through 28 of The Awakening by Miss Kate. This is